Well, hello everyone. My name is Swamp. And it's an emergency stream. The House Judiciary Committee had a hearing. Super important stuff. At least for, those of us who are more highbrow, like to watch quality content. This was Over 5.5 hours long. That is too much. That is too much government for anyone. It's the only reason that I'll feel bad for Chris Wray during this whole thing. This stream for this was 5 hours and 42 minutes. Man. And we're going to go through the entire... No, we're not. I'm just kidding. We're going to go through some of it. I really don't know how much because I've seen a few clips here and there that make it seem like it might be interesting. I can't remember what the last hearing was that we watched on this channel. We did watch another hearing. Oh, wasn't it the hearing on government interference in media or something like that? When they were talking about the Twitter files and stuff, yeah. That was kind of interesting. But, you know, as interesting as a House Judiciary, and I cannot say that. I can't even say House anymore. I've lost all ability to speak. This does not bode well.
Committee will come to order. Without objection, the chair is authorized to declare recess at any time. We welcome everyone to today's hearing on oversight of the FBI. The chair now recognizes the gentleman from Texas, Mr. Gooden, to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands.
Everyone's saying it at different times. That's annoying. They can't even say the Pledge of Allegiance together. Man, who are the people really screaming it? This is the process,
Chair now recognizes
you guys.
himself for an opening statement. 8 days ago, on July 4th, in the Western District of Louisiana, the court found that the federal government suppressed Americans' First Amendment free speech rights. In his conclusion on page 154, the court said this, the judge said this: plaintiffs are likely to succeed on the merits in establishing that the government has used its power to silence the opposition. Opposition to COVID-19 vaccines, opposition to COVID-19 mask and lockdowns, opposition to the lab leak theory of COVID-19, opposition to the validity of the 2020 election, opposition to President Biden's policies, statements that the Hunter Biden laptop was true, and opposition
honestly, I can't even believe that we've allowed it to go this long.
All were suppressed.
For anyone to pretend like the FBI, the CIA, ATF, DEA, the new Department of Homeland Security, that any of this stuff is legitimate. None of this is legitimate.
Specific to the FBI, the court said this: the FBI's failure to alert social media companies that the Biden laptop story was real and not Russian disinformation is particularly troubling.
Russian disinformation.
Since December 2019, and had warned social media companies repeatedly to look out for, quote, hack and dump operation by the Russians prior to the 2020 election. Even after Facebook specifically asked whether the laptop story was Russian disinformation, the FBI refused to comment, resulting in social media companies' suppression of this story, and as a result, millions of our fellow citizens did not hear the story prior to the November 3rd, 2020 election. Additionally, the FBI was included in industry meetings, bilateral meetings, received and forwarded alleged misinformation to social media companies.
Okay, Mr. Jordan, I know all these things already. We all know these things already. Where does it
when
start?
The court says the FBI misled. That's a nice way of saying,
or we could actually
work with us in the appropriations process to stop the weaponization of the government.
I was about to say, we'll just jump to when they start actually talking to him, but then I saw this little guy pop up. This little guy. I can't pass up an opportunity to hear Mr. Nadler speak. God, what a piece of shit. I'm here for it. Let's go. Take it away. You have the floor, Mr. Nadler.
I yield to the gentleman from New York for an opening statement.
Hey, someone just opened a Coke. Did you hear that?
Mr. Chairman, not that long ago, an oversight hearing of the FBI in this committee would have been a relatively bipartisan exercise. My colleagues on both sides of the aisle would have asked legitimate questions about the functioning and mission of the Bureau. Some of the questions may have been tough.
Is Nadler even sure that the FBI exists, or is it just an idea like Antifa? Someone needs to ask him. We need some clarification on this.
Debate may have gotten a little heated when we discussed important topics like privacy and discrimination. But our questioning would have been grounded in advancing and overseeing the FBI's dual missions of enforcing federal laws.
Here's the part where he says, but that's not the way it is anymore. My Republican colleagues are batshit crazy. Sure, I'm a fat, overweight loser who doesn't know anything about anything, but I now worship the FBI. I don't know, something like that. Whatever Nadler says, he looks like a son of a bitch. I'm trying to find a way to describe him that isn't going to get clipped out of context and say that, wow, that was surely anti-Semitic. He's got the look about him, man. That's not my fault. He looks like one of those little banker guys from, and no, calm down, from Harry Potter. Okay, he looks like one of those little guys from Harry Potter, the goblins. That's it. That's what he looks like. And I'm surprised you can't see his belt. Usually he wears his pants all the way up to like just below his nipples. All right, before I get in any more trouble, let's
encountering national security threats on American soil. In short, despite our disagreements, we would have done our duty as members of the Judiciary Committee. Today, unfortunately, House Republicans will fall well short of that mark. For them,
told you. Everyone knew that's where this was going.
Performance art. It is an elaborate show designed with only two purposes in mind: to protect Donald Trump from the consequences of his actions.
Oh, brother.
And to return him to the White House in the next election. Don't take my word for it.
I won't.
Chairman Jordan announced his plan last August, just days after the FBI searched Mar-a-Lago. He told an audience at CPAC, the Conservative Political Action Conference, that the investigation into Trump's wrongdoing was designed to, quote, help frame up the 2024 race, when I hope and I think President Trump is going to run again. And we need to make sure that he wins. Let me repeat that. We need to make sure that he wins.
Oh, God.
In pursuit of this goal, Chairman Jordan and committee Republicans have claimed...
It is absolutely amazing to me that since 2016, we have to pretend like everything before that pretty much didn't happen, and now everything's the craziest thing ever. Like when they went after Trump for saying fight like hell, and it's like, wait, what? What is this pearl clutching? We have to make sure that Trump wins, and now Nadler's sitting here as if that's like a... Did you believe that? Can you believe he said that? Well, yeah, sure. I think every single politician ever has said that about somebody. Didn't I hear that all over the news and all over Washington, D.C. during the 2020 election? We have to make sure that Biden wins. But no, it's just the craziest thing ever. Totally outlandish.
Claimed for months that the FBI is corrupt, rotten, politicized, and their favorite word, weaponized against the American people. Chairman Jordan has launched an array of baseless investigations into the FBI, most premised on absurd conspiracy theories. Some so absurd that the chairman cannot possibly believe them to be true.
You know, I used to love the term conspiracy theory just because I thought it was funny. But in the last 4 years or so, I have come to just despise the term conspiracy theory. Because that freaking jackass, who was it that came up was it the CIA or the FBI? I can't remember. I think it wasn't it the director of the FBI? I think that who came up with the term conspiracy theory, or was it? I can't remember if it was FBI or CIA, but came up with it to specifically discredit people who were saying things that they didn't like, that they didn't want people to say. And I used to like the term because I thought it was kind of funny. And but now it's being used for exactly what they wanted it to be used for. So if you ask a legitimate question where you go, wait a minute here, it seems that you, the FBI, directly colluded, there was a conspiracy between the FBI and big tech to censor American speech and do a runaround the First Amendment. Then they just say, oh, shut up with your conspiracy theories, and then move on. As if, well, okay, but what about what I said? I mean, we have all the emails and phone calls, and I mean, you did do this, right? Oh, what are we gonna talk about Jewish space lasers next? Look at this conspiracy theorist over here. Wait, no, didn't you admit to doing this? Oh, look at this guy. I bet you he goes Bigfoot hunting on the weekends. What a nut job. He's dangerous to our democracy. I miss when conspiracy theory was just like a fun word, a fun term, but they succeeded in weaponizing. Sorry, Mr. Nadler, I used the term that you don't like. They've succeeded in weaponizing the term conspiracy theorist, which, like I said, is what they wanted to do the whole time. So good for them. Another win for Big Brother. Good job.
But this is where the extreme MAGA leadership of this Congress has brought us today. Today, House Republicans will attack the FBI for having had the audacity to treat Donald Trump like any other citizen. The strategy is simple, really. When in doubt, Chairman Jordan investigates the investigators. The FBI dared to hold Trump accountable, so Republicans must discredit the FBI.
Man, can you imagine any American politician before 2016 acting like this? And by that, I mean acting as if wanting to, make sure that things were being done right was a bad thing. They at least used to pretend. And yes, for most of them, it was pretending. But they at least used to pretend that having a rogue law enforcement agency with no oversight, just running roughshod wherever the hell it wants, was a bad thing. They at least used to pretend that. Now they don't even pretend. They're just like, and you want to make sure that what they're doing is legitimate? How dare you? You peasant. We are the ruling class. Do as we say.
FBI at all costs. You will hear claims today that the FBI's decision to investigate Donald Trump was somehow unfair. You will hear that the Republicans attack the indictment of former President Trump on 37 counts related to his gross mishandling of national security information, including information regarding defense and weapons capabilities of both the United States and foreign countries, United States nuclear programs, potential vulnerabilities of the United States and its allies to military attack, and plans for possible retaliation in response to a foreign attack. The facts are made clear in the indictment. Quote, the unauthorized disclosure of these classified documents could put at risk the national security of the United States, foreign relations, the safety of the United States military, and human sources, and the continued viability of sensitive intelligence collection methods, close quote. Indeed, the indictment goes on to describe how the former president made such unauthorized disclosures, with him boasting about and showing his classified documents to numerous individuals without proper security clearance.
I'm not sure what this part of it has to do with the topic at hand. But, sure, yeah.
You will hear claims today that this indictment against Trump was unfair, maybe even that it was unlawful. You'll hear that the FBI should have just asked Trump a little more nicely, one more time, to hand over the documents. You'll hear that the case was a political investigation from the start, orchestrated by a liberal-loving FBI that ensured Trump would be wrongfully vilified at every turn. These claims, of course, are completely untethered from the evidence.
Well, not exactly, but really what is annoying here is the whole way he's framing the issues of the FBI going after Trump in this way is totally disingenuous. It's a straw man. He's doing what the media loves to do, where they make some absolutely outlandish claim about what the right is doing and then go, isn't that crazy? And you go, well, yeah, I guess if that's what was actually happening, but it's not. It's basically like what they do when they keep throwing around words like, racist or bigot or whatever. Where they, what do you say to the claims that you're a racist? What? What? They just want you to start talking about whatever they want you to talk about. I mean, to use such ridiculous language as saying that he would be vilified at every single turn, and to imply that there's people lurking in the shadows and blah 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 blah. And say, okay, you're purposefully misrepresenting and dramatizing the point here. So that everyone laughs. I mean, that's what you're trying to do. Come on.
Even if you believe, as Chairman Jordan claims, that President Trump has committed no crime, surely we can agree that it is dangerous and profoundly irresponsible to have taken these documents from the White House and left them unsecured in Mar-a-Lago.
The only way that I would that I would accept that is if we then go back and arrest every single former president that is still alive today. And I'm not against that. So I will only accept that if we do the logical thing, which is arrest every other president as well. If we do that, I'm on board. Let's do it. I'm down with it.
Again, don't take just my word for it. Trump's Secretary of Defense, Mark Esper, said that the former president's handling of this information put U.S. service members' lives and their national security at risk. And Trump's handpicked Attorney General Bill Barr, with whom I agree on very little, hit the nail on the head when he described the former president's legal troubles as, quote, entirely of his own making. He had no right to those documents. The government tried for over a year, quietly and with respect, to get them back, and he jerked them around. When he faced a subpoena, he didn't raise any legal arguments. He engaged in a course of deceitful conduct.
But you see what I'm saying? It's like it's a moving of the goalposts, or it's a straw man of the argument. That's not the crux of the argument here, Nadler, you little goblin man. This has not been done before, and I don't mean Trump taking documents. I mean, Trump was right that what the hell are these guys doing? Everyone does this. Why are they acting like this is a big deal? And that's why I said the only way I will accept this as legitimate, what he's saying, is if they go back and arrest everyone else. If they do that, then I'll believe you that this is about everyone, has to follow the law. No one's above the law. Okay, then we need to arrest every president who is alive currently. Then I will believe you. And like I said, I would be okay with that. Let's do it. I would open investigations into a lot of things that we probably need to do investigations on, like the Clintons, like Obama. I mean, come on. There's a lot of stuff. They don't want to go down that road. But they're acting. I love this acting as if they're the ones. We uphold the law. Antifa, what's that? Never heard of it. It's totally not a real thing. It's more of an idea. It's not an organization. They haven't actually done anything. Oh, those Antifa guys that are in jail right now, let them out. But Antifa's not even a real thing.
It's a clear crime if those allegations are true, close quote. The former president could have, at any time for months, simply returned the documents and avoided prosecution. But House Republicans do not want to talk about any of that. They seem incapable of assigning any agency or responsibility to Donald Trump for problems that are Trump's and Trump's alone. You might hear today about a man named Stephen D'Antuono.
What a ridiculous way to frame that. And totally dishonest.
Investigation into the documents. Last month, committee Republicans brought him in for an interview, and shortly after that, Chairman Jordan released a letter purporting to describe Mr. D'Antuono's testimony. In fact, Chairman Jordan's summary of Mr. D'Antuono's words are a vast mischaracterization of what he actually said. Here's just one example. Chairman Jordan has claimed that Mr. Tuono said he had, quote, no idea.
Okay, Nadler, I wanted to listen to you. That's about as much as I can do. Let's get to the man himself, the man of the 5 hours.
We get to your question. Or might have known if he'd actually shown up at the deposition like I did. With that, without objection, all other opening statements.
I got to hear what he said. Come on.
Tuono, pronunciation of the former.
Our nation. I thank the chairman, and I yield back.
Gentleman yields back. Just for the record, the pronunciation of the former assistant director in charge of the Washington field office is Dan Tuono, something the ranking member might have known if he'd actually shown up at the deposition like I did. With that, without objection, all other opening statements will be included in the record. We will now introduce today's witnesses. The Honorable Christopher Wray has been the director of the FBI since 2017. He previously served as the Assistant Attorney General for the Criminal Division of the Department of Justice, the Principal Associate Deputy Attorney General and Associate Deputy Attorney General, and as Assistant U.S. Attorney for the Northern District of Georgia. Director Wray has also worked in private practice at King Spalding.
Oh, and just a reminder, as always, if you can't take it and you need a break, Super Chats will activate the Super Chat jukebox. That is, if I set it up right. Let's see. Let's see. Who knows? Oh, I think it is set up right. That almost never happens.
The press has become so dishonest. The public doesn't believe you people anymore. You have a lower approval rate than Congress.
Well, that part's working.
More about a thing called fake news.
Fake news.
I've seen people destroyed.
Hey, there it goes.
I think it's very unfair.
There it goes.
LLP, we welcome our witness and thank him for appearing today. We will begin by swearing you in. Director, would you please raise your right hand? You've done this before. Do you swear or affirm under penalty of perjury that the testimony you're about to give is true and correct to the best of your knowledge, information, and belief, so help you God? Let the record show the witness answered in the affirmative. Please know that your written testimony will be entered into the record in its entirety. Accordingly, we ask that you summarize your testimony in 5 minutes. We'll give you a few extra minutes if you like, Director. And then you know how this works. Will be 5 minutes of questioning, and my guess is every single member is going to have questions for you. So again, thank you for being here. Director Wray, you are recognized for your opening statement.
Thank you. Good morning, Chairman Jordan, Ranking Member Nadler, members of the committee. In the time that I have before we get to your questions, I want to talk about the sheer breadth and impact of the work the FBI's 38,000 employees are doing each and every day, because the work the men and women of the FBI do to protect the American people goes way beyond the 1 or 2 investigations that seem to capture all the headlines. Take violent crime. Last year alone, working shoulder to shoulder with our partners in state and local law enforcement, the FBI arrested more than 20,000.
All the Black Lives Matter stuff, I was told that this is totally irrelevant, what he's saying here. Completely irrelevant. Remember? Even one bad cop in a precinct was enough to abolish it and burn it all to the ground. But I guess now we're going to hear from people like Nadler. But, yeah, see, look at all the good guys. Look at all the good stuff they're doing. And you go, yeah, I'm not sure that's super important here when the allegations against them are pretty heavy. These are some pretty serious accusations that we need to address. Nope. An FBI agent once helped my grandma get a kitty out of a tree. So, gotcha.
Violent criminals and child predators. That's an average of almost 60 bad guys taken off the streets per day, every day. Or our work going after the cartels, exploiting our southwest border to traffic fentanyl and other dangerous drugs into communities nationwide. The FBI's...
Imagine the balls that it takes. Right? This isn't like this is from years ago. This was yesterday. Imagine the balls that it takes to come in front of the nation and say, and not to mention the southern border and how we are killing it. Fentanyl? None of it's getting by us, baby. We got it. No, sir. Oh, this guy. I would think I'd think you would avoid that at all costs. You'd say, well, I'll just be abstract about it and say, well, we have thousands of agents and they're doing good work. I mean, we're doing a good job. And just leave it at that. The border and especially not even just the border, but to specifically bring up fentanyl, which has become like the leading cause of death in the country. Nailing it, killing it.
Running well over 300 investigations targeting the leadership of those cartels. And working with our partners, we've already seized hundreds of kilograms of fentanyl this year alone, stopping deadly drugs from reaching their intended destinations in states all over the country and saving countless American lives. Or the thousands of active investigations we now have into the Chinese government's efforts to steal our most precious secrets, rob our businesses of their ideas and innovation.
Dude, this guy must be living on another planet. He brings up the southern border and fentanyl coming across. Nailing it, dude. Killing it. Oh, and by the way, China, we have never been more secure against China and their attempts to take information. It's like, well, wait a minute. Hasn't there been like 3 Chinese spy balloons that have gone over the country? Just floating along, gentle like on a breeze. Nailing it.
And repress freedom of speech right here in the United States. And that is just scratching the surface. The men and women of the FBI work tirelessly every day.
I want to know why the people working, see, the camera woman is still wearing a mask. No one else is wearing a mask. Telling you, man, the peasants still have to abide by all this stuff.
To protect the American people from what is really a staggering array of threats. And we don't do that work alone. The FBI now leads more than 750 task forces nationwide, made up of more than
that is not
6,000
comforting.
State and local task force officers, or TFOs as we call them, from more than 1,800 different...
You know, it's funny is he's bringing this up and he's saying this as if this is like a point of pride. You guys remember that I brought this up? I can't remember if it was on a stream or on a video like almost a year ago, where I was saying, is anyone paying attention to the fact that the FBI is opening up like dozens of new offices all across the country and arming people and sending them out across the country? And he's up here saying, he's saying exactly what I said, but he's saying it is it's a good thing, you guys.
Different state and local agencies. Each of those TFOs represents an officer, a deputy, or an investigator that a local police chief, sheriff, or state superintendent was willing to send our way. Certainly not because they didn't have enough work to do in their own department, but because they saw the tremendous value that our FBI-led task forces bring. And we are honored and humbled by their trust in us and grateful for their partnership. But the numbers don't tell the whole story. To truly appreciate the impact the FBI and our partners are having, you got to look at the cases. Just last month, for instance, the FBI charged 31 members of 2 drug trafficking organizations responsible for distributing dangerous drugs like fentanyl, cocaine, and methamphetamine throughout the area around Marion, Ohio. In that one investigation run out of the FBI's 2-man office in Mansfield, we worked with partners from multiple local police departments and sheriff's offices to take kilos of fentanyl off Marion streets. Enough lethal doses, I should add, to kill the entire population of Columbus, Cleveland, and Cincinnati combined. It's a great example of how even a small office with a small personnel footprint, the FBI is working big cases hand in hand with our state and local partners to have an outsized impact in our communities. The FBI's got thousands of employees working scores of investigations like that all over the country to protect the American people. Those men and women who
I'm just not sure that the benefits are outweighing the negative
really,
here.
to this kind of work and to fulfilling the FBI mission are inspiring. At a time when so many other law enforcement agencies have had a difficult time with recruiting and retention, the Bureau continues to attract applicants in near record numbers. In fact, after the first couple years of my tenure, the number of Americans applying to be special agents tripled the pace from when I started, reaching the highest levels in about a decade. At the same time...
Well, if you guys are getting the same quality candidates as the CIA, which I think was like the first video I ever did, first or second video I ever did about the CIA recruitment videos, if those are the special agents you guys are getting, I would not be bragging about it.
Inside the FBI, our special agent attrition has remained in the low single digits and would be the envy of almost any employer. And even with these bigger numbers, the folks we're continuing to add continue to be top-notch. The percentage of both veterans and special agent hires with prior law enforcement experience has remained as steady as ever, between 25 and 30%. Add to that, in a job market where applicants have a whole lot of other opportunities, the percentage of those...
You mean the, it's ma'am looking dude behind on his right shoulder? Yeah, right there. Looks like the GameStop guy. It's ma'am. I'm not rolling it. I'm not starting from back here again. This guy. We got to move on, Chris Wray. You're killing me.
And that is there for them when they need us the most. And that is the FBI that inspires me and that I'm proud to be here today to represent. Thank you.
We thank you. That we will now proceed under the 5-minute rule with questions. The chair recognizes the gentleman from Louisiana, Mr. Johnson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Director Wray, this is no time to mince words. The American people have lost faith in the FBI. All of our constituents are demanding that we get this situation under control, and we have to do that. That's our responsibility. This is not a political party issue, sir. This is about whether the very system of justice in our country can be trusted anymore. Without that, no republic can survive. See, the American people that we represent are losing count of the scandals that are mounting. The FBI has been involved. They've seen evidence that it's being used as a political tool of the Biden administration. They've seen counterterrorism resources being used against school parents, the homes of conservative political opponents being raided. They've seen conservative states being targeted over their election integrity laws, and conservative Catholics and pro-life citizens characterized as violent extremists. Just last month, as you know, former Special Counsel John Durham sat right in that seat and testified that the Justice Department and the FBI should never have launched the bogus Trump-Russia investigation. And his lengthy report reluctantly concluded that the FBI, quote, failed to uphold its mission of strict fidelity to the law. Just last week, NBC had a poll. Only 37% of registered voters now view the FBI positively. 35% have a negative view. In 2018, by comparison, 52% of the country had a positive view of the FBI.
That's one thing that I just don't understand. You hear this all the time in the media about how it's the right-wingers that are perpetuating this distrust in our institutions and blah, 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 blah. And as if this isn't a nationwide political divide. You know, like it's no one trusts these people anymore. It's not just Republicans. Republicans have a higher rate of distrust than Democrats, but it's not like the Democrats are sitting over there at, you know, like, oh, 95% of them trust the institutions. Not even close. But of course, we had Jerry Nadler at the very beginning acting as if my Republican, colleagues over there, they're gonna, those crazy conspiracy theorists and make stuff. We know everything's fine. You shouldn't have oversight over law enforcement. You should just let them go unabated. Everyone trusts them. They're great.
There's a serious decline in the people's faith, and it's on your watch, sir. And then, July 4th, we had this explosive 155-page opinion from a federal court in my home state of Louisiana. It explains in detail that the FBI has been directly involved in what the court says is, quote, arguably the most massive attack against free speech in United States history. The court ordered the White House, DOJ, and FBI, among others, to immediately cease colluding with and coercing social media companies to suppress American speech.
Well, everyone does the poster board thing, and I gotta say, it's lame. It's cringe. Stop it. Stop it.
Of course, conservative speech in particular. Director Wray, I find it stunning. You made no mention of this court opinion either in your opening statement today or in this lengthy 14-page report that you prepared on July 12th, which is 8 days after the court ruling. Have you read the ruling, sir?
I am familiar with the ruling, and I've reviewed it with our Office of General Counsel.
Are you deeply disturbed by what they've told you about the ruling if you haven't read it yourself?
Obviously, we're going to comply with the court's order, the court's preliminary injunction. We sent out guidance to the field and the headquarters about how to do that. Needless to say, the injunction itself is a subject of ongoing litigation, and so I'll decline to comment further.
Oh, man. This is that. I mean, come on. That's basically an admission. Yes, they were 100% correct. How hard is it just to say, yes, I'm actually very disturbed by that, and we're gonna look into this because, I don't think that this is fair, or I don't think that that's something to say that yes, those accusations are disturbing. We're gonna look into it. How hard is that? I thought that was their thing. Isn't that what the feds say all the time? Well, we'll look into it. And instead he says, well, that's their characterization. I'm not going to comment on that since, something.
Well, let me tell you what the court concluded, because it should be the first thing you think about every morning and the last thing you think about at night. They said that, quote, the court found, apparently the FBI engaged in a massive effort to suppress disfavored conservative speech and blatantly ignored the First Amendment's right to free speech. The evidence shows the FBI threatened adverse consequences to social media companies that they did not comply with its censorship request. The court found that, quote, this seemingly unrelenting pressure by the FBI and the other defendants had the intended result of suppressing millions of protected free speech postings by American citizens. As a result, the court states, for example, millions of citizens did not hear about the Hunter Biden laptop story prior to the November 3rd, 2020 election. Page 4 of the court ruling lists some of the important subjects that the Biden administration and the FBI forced the social media platforms to suppress. The evidence shows your agency, the people that directly report to you, suppressed conservative-leaning free speech about topics like the laptop, the lab leak theory of COVID-19's origin, the effectiveness of masks and COVID-19 lockdowns and vaccines, speech about election integrity in the 2020 presidential election, security of voting by mail, even parody about the president himself, negative posts about the economy. The FBI made the social media platforms pull that information off the internet if it came from conservative sources. They did this under the guise that it was disinformation. Can you define what disinformation is?
What I can tell you is that our focus is not on disinformation, broadly speaking.
Well, wait a minute. Yes, it is.
Well,
wait a minute.
Can I answer the question?
You can in a minute. Your star witness said in the litigation, Elvis Chan, who's in charge of this, said they do it on the basis of disinformation. We need a definition of what that is.
Our focus is on malign foreign disinformation, that is foreign hostile actors who engage in covert efforts to abuse our social media platforms, which is something that is not seriously in dispute.
Wait a minute. You're telling me he's going after Russian disinformation? My man, toeing the line. He's got it. It's the Russians, man. We specifically are going after Russian disinformation. And if your account gets caught up in this, it's just collateral damage because we really got to go after these Russian bots that are spreading disinformation. It's foreign information with a malicious intent. We're here to stop that. And again, if millions of American citizens got caught up in this dragnet, that's collateral damage, man. There's nothing we can do about that. It was super important that we went after the Russian disinformation. What a jackass.
I have to stop you for time. That's not accurate. You need to read this court opinion because you're in charge of enforcing it. The court has found that, and Elvis Chan testified under oath in charge of this for you. He said 50%. He had a 50% success rate in having alleged election disinformation taken down or censored. That wasn't just foreign adversaries, sir. That was American citizens. How do you answer for that?
Well, first off, I'm not sure that's a correct characterization.
Comes right out of the opinion. You should read it.
Of his testimony. But what I would say is the FBI is not in the business of moderating content or causing any social media company to suppress or censor.
That is.
Oh my God. Dude, this is insane. These guys can literally just say whatever the hell they want. And no repercussions at all. We are not in the business of telling social media what the... Are you kidding me? Through the Twitter files and stuff, we found out that not just with Twitter, but even with Google, you guys had backdoor portals built into the system that you could go into and look this shit up and tell them what to do. We're not in the business of doing what we do every single day and is directly what we engage in for business.
Not what the court has found.
What I would also say is among the things that you listed off, I find ironic the reference to the lab leak theory. The idea that the FBI would somehow be involved in suppressing references to the lab leak theory is somewhat absurd when you consider the fact that the FBI...
Dude, what a ridiculous... Somewhat absurd. Bruh. Mark Zuckerberg came out and said that the FBI contacted him directly to do exactly that. This fucking guy. This guy
was the only agency in the entire intelligence community to reach the assessment that it was more likely than not that was the explanation
but
for the pandemic.
Your agents pulled it off the internet, sir. That's what the evidence in the court has found.
Time of the gentleman has expired. The gentleman from New York is recognized.
You know, this is another one of those situations where you be the judge. Is this guy, because he's supposed to be a conservative and all this stuff, is this guy the biggest chump in the history of the federal government? That he just has no idea, no earthly idea what the department that he runs is doing? Or is he full of shit? I mean, is he the biggest moron that has ever worked in the federal government? Which is saying a lot. Is he the dumbest person on the face of the planet? Or is he full of shit? Is he lying about that? I mean, I gotta tell you, I think he's just full of shit, man. I mean, what an absurd... As if... It's like a lot of these people still think it's, 1983 or something, where people don't have access to all this information at any given moment. Dude, we've all seen it. We've seen the email interactions. We've had videos where Mark Zuckerberg explains how it worked with the FBI. Elon Musk released the Twitter files. This isn't the 80s anymore. 80s or earlier, where you could just say whatever the hell you want and no one knows and they don't remember what you said last week anyway. Clown.
Director Wray, House Republicans have attacked the execution of the search warrant of Mar-a-Lago last August as a, quote, unprecedented raid. Would you consider the execution of the search warrant at Mar-a-Lago a raid?
I would not call it a raid. I would call it the execution of a lawful search.
And talk about totally irrelevant semantics. This is going to be painful. This is going to be painful.
Warrant.
Can you describe how the search was executed?
Well, we had the case team, follow its standard procedure. It has sometimes been described as a SWAT operation. It was not. There was no SWAT involvement. But beyond that, I think I want to be really careful with getting too far into the details now that this case is not only in the hands of a special counsel, but more importantly, in my view, in front of the court. And I learned a long time ago as a line prosecutor and defense lawyer to respect the court process is where I think.
Isn't it always convenient that whenever it gets anywhere close to explaining something that might be not super great, suddenly it's, but, my hands are kind of tied. I can't really get into the details.
Were particular steps taken to ensure that the execution of the search warrant did not draw undue attention?
I think there were steps along those lines, yes, sir.
Can you name a couple of them?
Well, among other things, we did not have people coming in so-called raid jackets, which is often something you would see.
So in other words, the FBI agents executing the search.
Did you do anything to make sure that this was not didn't have any undue attention? Yeah, for sure, totally. That's exactly what we did. Can you name something? Oh shit, I didn't know I was gonna. We wore different jackets.
Wore plain clothes so as not to attract undue attention. And the FBI waited until Trump had left Mar-a-Lago to execute the search. Is that correct?
Yes.
And Chairman Jordan has attacked the DOJ and the FBI for not attempting to get the documents back from Trump consensually before turning to a search warrant. I want to walk through all the opportunities Trump had to produce these documents and have a series of yes or no questions. The National Archives also...
Well, Mr. Nadler, since it's you, he's going to be happy to answer any of these yes or no questions because you're on his side. This should be good. This should be... We should get a lot of information from this that we didn't know before. This is going to be great.
Also known as NARA, first asked Trump to return all presidential records to them in May 2021, correct?
Well, I don't remember the date, but I remember there was a request by the National Archives.
And then throughout 2021, NARA made repeated follow-up requests, but still Trump replied to comply, correct?
Yes, I would refer you to the pleadings that have been filed in court that lay out in better detail than I could hear.
In fact, it was not until January 2022, after NARA warned Trump that failing to return documents could violate the Presidential Records Act, that Trump finally produced 15 boxes of documents to it, correct?
Again, I would just refer to our court filings, which go into great detail about all this.
And even these 15 boxes did not contain all the documents Trump was required to return, correct?
That's my recollection, but again, I'll refer
So
to
in
the
May
filings.
2022, a grand jury had to actually subpoena Trump for the missing documents, correct?
Same answer.
And
I wonder why they didn't do this with any other president. I mean, I'm still just wondering. Just curious. It's not like any other president didn't also have documents. Biden kept them stacked in his garage and his living room and in his 8 other houses and in every building he'd ever walked into. But no, yeah.
Trump was then present
totally,
on June 3rd
legit.
when his attorneys handed over another folder of documents and a certification that all classified material had been returned, correct?
Again, I just want to stick with what's in the court filings. That sounds right to me, but I really want to be careful to stay within the 4 corners.
But the certification was false, right? Even then, Trump had not returned all classified material, correct?
I think that is part of the indictment.
He had additional documents hiding in his bathroom, in his storage room,
Look at this slimy little guy.
Yes?
Again, I think that's part of the indictment.
And so finally, DOJ and FBI were required to obtain a search warrant to obtain the classified documents that had not been retained, correct?
Same answer.
The documents retrieved during that search included 69 marked confidential, 98 secret, and 30 top secret. Is that correct?
Same answer.
So to sum up, President Trump had many, many chances to voluntarily comply with FBI and DOJ's request. Instead, he made the choice to keep these highly classified defense and national security documents, apparently because he wanted a souvenir. I find myself in the strange position of agreeing with former Attorney General Bill Barr's statement that Trump brought this on himself, and I would add that it's absurd that House Republicans are attacking the FBI and DOJ for doing their job and ensuring that no person is above the law. I yield back.
The gentleman yields back. The gentleman from Kentucky is recognized for 5 minutes.
I think the chairman.
Did you guys know no person's
Director Wray,
above the
in
law?
light of information
Have you heard about
provided
this?
to us about the FBI's investigation of the January 6th pipe bombs, in an interview with Assistant Director Stephen Drantuano, Chairman Jordan and I sent you a letter a month ago. Some of the information that we found in that interview was that phone data.
Dude, this is a guy that I would vote for president. 100%. Massey's a badass. Maybe not actually a bad, but you know what I mean. Lives on a farm, knows guns. He's awesome. This guy's the shit, man. Everything I've ever seen him say, I've been like, dude, this guy nailing it. I can't remember, it was like 2 years ago I saw him at an interview on Timcast or something. And I was like, who the hell is this guy? I've never even heard of this guy. And I've kind of kept track of him since then. This guy, he knows what's going on.
That could have helped to identify the pipe bomber was corrupted, was unusable. He also wasn't sure who found or how the second bomb was found at the DNC. Do you know how the second bomb was found at the DNC? And when do you plan on answering our letter?
Well, as to the letter, I will work with the department to make sure we can figure out what
I
information.
love how whenever he's having to talk to someone who doesn't agree with him, he always does this thing where he starts fumbling. Look at it. He's like,
Information we can.
yeah, let's roll it back a little bit.
That we found in that corrupted. Who found or how the second bomb was
watch
found
Ray.
at
He's
the
like
DNC?
starts fumbling with the
Do you
mic.
know how the second bomb was found?
He's done
at
this
the
every
DNC?
time.
And when do you plan on answering our letter?
Well, as to the letter, I will work with the department to make sure we can figure out what information we can provide. As you know, this is a very active, ongoing investigation, and there are some restrictions on that, but we will
Yes,
do
we
our
can
best to
handle
respond.
classified information, and we fund your department, and so you need to provide that.
It's not, respectfully, it's not an issue of classification. It's an issue of commenting on ongoing criminal.
Yeah, that's absolutely his tell, because he's done it when he's spoken to, well, actually everyone except Nadler at this point, because Nadler's the only one who's been on his side. You notice when he was talking to Nadler, he was very relaxed, didn't touch the mic at all. But in every other time, whenever someone else starts talking to him and asks him a question, he's like kind of nervous about it. He starts going, well, here's the, well, hang on, I gotta, well, I can't, I'm not sure that I can elaborate on that right now.
Criminal investigations, which is something that by longstanding department policy we are restricted in doing. And in fact, the last administration actually strengthened those policies partly
That's
because...
not our policy, though, and we fund you, so let's move on. Do you know how the second pipe bomb, can you tell us how the second pipe bomb was found at the DNC?
Again, I'm not going to get into that here.
900 days ago is when this happened, and you said you had total confidence we'd apprehend the subject. We've found video that looks like somebody, a passerby, miraculously found this pipe bomb at the DNC and then notified the police. Miraculously, I say, because it was at specifically the precise time to cause the maximum distraction from the events going on at the Capitol. Can you show this video that we have, please? I'd like to know if the director has seen this. This is somebody with a mask on, wearing a hat. They're walking in front of the DNC, which is out of the view on the right-hand side. You'll see him come into view. He goes to one police car. He goes to another police car. He's holding a backpack. He's got a mask on. He's talking to the police. And within a minute, they start scrambling. You'll see the camera turn to the pipe bomb, the location of the pipe bomb. By the way, that's, I believe, the Metro police are now getting out of their car, and that's Vice President-elect's detail in the black SUV, I believe, parked about 30 feet from the pipe bomb, eating lunch. Okay, now we go over to the location of the pipe bomb. The cameras are scrambling. It appears to me that that's not a coincidence, that the person with the backpack who walked by that bench and then went up to the police and the detail didn't do that accidentally. They had a purpose in mind, and then what transpired after that.
Oh, sorry,
was a
guys. I
result
was
of
watching that
information
video and
person
I
gave
didn't
to
make
them.
it full screen for you.
If that person
My
found
bad.
the pipe bomb, would they be a suspect?
Well, again, I don't want to speculate about specific individuals. I will tell you that we have done thousands of interviews, reviewed something like 40,000 video files, of which this is one, assessed 500-something tips.
Have you interviewed
reviewed
that
the
person?
devices. We have conducted all logical investigative steps and interviewed all logical individuals at this
Then
point.
you need, it's 900
Continuing-
days. You need to tell us what you found, because we're finding stuff you haven't released into the public. In my remaining minute, I want to turn to another issue. George Hill, former FBI supervisory intelligence analyst in the Boston field office, told us that the Bank of America, with no legal process, gave to the FBI gun purchase records with no geographical boundaries for anybody that was a Bank of America customer. Is that true?
Well, what I do know is that a number of business community partners all the time, including financial institutions, share information with us about possible criminal activity. And my understanding is that that's fully lawful. In the
Did you ask for that information?
In the specific instance that you're asking about, my understanding is that that information was shared with field offices for information only, but then recalled to avoid even the appearance of any kind of overreach. But my understanding is that that's a fully lawful process.
Was there a warrant involved?
Again, my understanding is that the institution in question shared information with us, as happens all the time.
Did you request the information?
I can't speak to the specifics.
Okay, well, we've got an email where it says the FBI did give the search queries to Bank of America, and Bank of America responded to the FBI and gave over this information without a search warrant. Do you believe there's any limitation on your ability to obtain gun purchase data or purchase information for people who aren't suspects from banks without a warrant?
Well, now you're asking a legal question, which I would prefer to defer to the lawyers, since I'm not practicing as one right now, including the department. But what I will tell you is that my understanding is that the process by which we receive information from business community partners across a wide variety of industries, including financial institutions, sharing information with us about possible criminal activity is something that is fully lawful under current federal law.
It may be lawful, but it's not constitutional. I yield back.
The gentleman yields back. The gentlelady.
Yeah, well, that was bizarre. I'm sorry, I let that play, I think, a little bit longer than I normally do, but that was a bizarre interaction. Is director of the FBI just something's off about this. I mean, what? No, we just get information all the time from these companies about stuff. Okay, I understand that if a company's reporting suspicious activity to a law enforcement agency, I understand that. But why are they just getting data on gun purchases, just in general? How I don't understand why. Something funky's going on here. But this is why they invented the term conspiracy theorist. Because if you go, wait a minute, we need to go deeper into this. Shut up, conspiracy theorist. No, this is strange. Okay, so this is a very weird thing. That was a strange interaction. I feel like he said more than he meant to, Mr. Director Wray. I feel like he said a little bit more. He kept trying to push it back to, no, everything's lawful, everything's legal. You asking for gun purchase information from Bank of America on just any transaction. I mean, that something seems not right here. Am I crazy? And I do like the way that Massey ended that when he was like, well, it may not be unlawful, but it's certainly unconstitutional. Yeah, that is very strange. But, you know, I'm just some jackass on the internet.
From California is recognized for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, Director Wray, for being here. I think it's actually sad that the majority is engaging in conspiracy theories.
Yeah, are you ready? Are you ready? It's very sad. The lady from California is about to play the world's smallest violin because of the mistreatment of the FBI by the evil ultra MAGA right-wing conspiracy theory Nazi white supremacist werewolf vampire Thanos something evil bad guy. They're basically Voldemort is what I'm saying.
And efforts to try and discredit one of the premier law enforcement agencies in the United States in the effort to try and, without really any evidence.
You're right. This is the Grinch in drag right here.
Make the case.
It never ceases to amaze me how they could just say shit without any evidence. Oh my gosh, how many times do we have to teach you this lesson, old man? The evidence is, I mean, there's more than I could possibly go over in, you know, like they each have 5 minutes. There's more evidence than you could ever go over in 5 minutes. And it's not well, this looks like this. No, it's direct, confirmed, verified emails, communications. It's like Mark Zuckerberg explicitly saying that this is happening with zero evidence. Zero evidence. There's zero evidence that you should be allowed here, lady. I don't know. Just shut up.
The FBI is somehow opposed to conservative views.
Zero evidence.
In my view, actually, I'm concerned that the FBI has been reluctant to do its job when it comes to the former president.
I mean, that is a hell of a thing for you to say to me.
I'd like to ask unanimous consent to put in the record an article from the Washington Post. FBI resisted opening probe into Trump's role in January 6th for more than a year.
Without objection.
Director Wray, would you disagree with the premise of this article that the FBI delayed in looking at Mr. Trump himself? The January 6th committee, and I was a member, did find that the ex-president was the center of a wide-ranging conspiracy to overturn the...
Man. Again, this is like at the beginning when Chris Wray was proud of what he'd done on the southern border. And he was proud. Imagine being proud. The January 6th committee, which I was on, damn, really, lady? All credibility right out the window. We watched the first day of that, and man. and I love how every single time, every single one of those hearings, someone in the news, you know, the news report, new bombshell information. And then you go, okay, what is it? Well, this woman says that she heard from a guy whose cousin's brother once knew a guy who said that Trump actually had been planning this since 1989 when he was an asset for the Russian government. Oh, well, shit. Well, damn. Got him. Or the ridiculous story about how, yeah, and then he told me that in the car, Trump reached from the back seat to try to grab the wheel, and he was like, wait, in a car where he's in the back, they're in the front, and there's no way to even get in between. Like there's a plexiglass or bulletproof. Like he literally can't do that. Yes, it's great work. If anything, we should be watching. We should just go back and rewatch all the January 6th committee hearings, just because they're hilarious. It's definitely better than anything SNL's put out in a long time.
The election. Did the FBI start looking right after January 6th at the ex-president?
I'm sorry, I just lost the last part of your question there.
Did the FBI start looking at the ex-president's role in January 6th, starting January 7th or closely to that time?
Well, let me start with, I'm not in the business of kind of commenting or engaging on the truth or falsity of newspaper articles. And in this particular instance, as I'm sure you can appreciate, there is an ongoing, very important ongoing special counsel investigation that's now in court. And so not only do I not want to talk about the ongoing investigation, the internal deliberations related to it are even more sensitive.
I respect that you cannot discuss ongoing investigations. Let me turn to another item.
Of course you do, because the answer probably wouldn't be to your favor.
Scenario leading up to the warrant for the documents at Mar-a-Lago. But I'd like to ask a unanimous consent to put an article from the Washington Post. Showdown before the raid, FBI agents and prosecutors argued over Trump.
Is anyone surprised at all that apparently this woman gets all of her information from the Washington Post? I've read quite a few Washington Post articles for Swamp in Print. And damn, they are about as nutty as you can get.
Objection.
It's pretty clear from this article that there was a resistance on the part of the FBI to actually look at the president or pursue that case vigorously. And although you can't comment on it, the article does suggest that FBI agents want to just close the case because the ex-president made an assertion that a search had been made. Now, we had Mr. D'Antuono in as a witness, and he testified 4 times that the Mar-a-Lago search had adequate probable cause. Do you agree?
This freaking jacket is killing me. But you know what? You know what? I just had an idea. I can chroma key this. Let's see. All right. It's not grabbing the green color. Hang on. I knew. I was like, I can chroma key this. I'm pretty sure. What should her jacket be? That's the question. It's not quite getting the. Well, no, it's almost there. Maybe do one more for the second color. Let's see. Yeah, you could go Riddler. I mean, it already almost looks like the Riddler jacket, right? Where is it? There we go. Let's see here. Let's see if I can add this image. There we go. It actually looks pretty good. It's not bad. It's not bad. I like how the lines are still there from the darker green, so it actually makes it look legit. Like, like it's actually it's like an animated or something. Let's see now as it plays.
Agree with that statement?
Yes.
He wanted you to do.
Oh shit, I hit the wrong button there. I was worried that it wasn't going to work when it switched in. So I was like, maybe there's going to be other green stuff, but there's not. It's perfect.
That there was probable cause for this warrant. I just want to say before going to my next question that over and over again the FBI delayed and showed unprecedented caution before investigating the ex-president, even when there was a potential threat
Unprecedented.
to national security.
I actually do want to hear what dumb shit she has to say, so let's roll it back a little bit.
Listed opening probe into Trump's role in January 6th for more than a year.
Without objection.
Director Wray, would you disagree with the premise of this article that the FBI delayed in looking at Mr. Trump himself?
Riddle me this, Mr. Wray.
I was a member, did find that...
Riddle me this, Mr. Wray. Would you agree that Trump wasn't guilty, but you investigated him anyway? I don't know. What is...
The ex-president was the center
He
of
says
a
rhymes.
wide-ranging conspiracy.
Riddler was not my favorite. Oh, son of a bitch.
jacket.
I keep hitting the wrong button. We'll never get to hear what this crazy woman has to say.
The warrant for the documents at Mar-a-Lago. Disagree
Oh.
with the premise of this article that the
Okay,
FBI delayed in looking at Mr. Trump himself. The January 6th committee, and I was a member, did
There
find
we go.
that the
We're back. We're back on
ex-president
track
was the
now.
center of a wide-ranging conspiracy to overturn the election. Did the FBI start looking right after January 6th at the ex-president?
I'm sorry, I just lost the last part of your question there.
Did the FBI start looking
I'm
at
sorry,
the
I was distracted by
ex-president's
your
role in
ridiculous
January
jacket.
6th, starting January 7th or closely to that time?
Well, let me start with, I'm not in the business of kind of commenting or engaging on the truth or falsity of newspaper articles. And in this particular instance, as I'm sure you can appreciate, there is an ongoing, very important ongoing special counsel investigation that's now in court. And so not only do I not want to talk about the ongoing investigation, the internal deliberations related to it are even more sensitive.
I respect that you cannot discuss ongoing investigations. Let me turn to another item. I mean, there's been criticism, and the ranking member went through the scenario leading up to the warrant for the documents at Mar-a-Lago. But I'd like to ask a unanimous consent to put an article from the Washington Post. Showdown before the raid, FBI agents and prosecutors argued over Trump.
Without objection.
It's pretty clear from this article that there was a resistance on the part of the FBI to actually look at the president or pursue that case vigorously. And although you can't comment on it, the article does suggest that FBI agents want to just close the case because the ex-president made an assertion that
We're still just listening to this random woman babble because I'm trying to Let's see if I can do this. I got another one. Hang on. I couldn't find any good quality of this, so it's kind of like sketchy, but I think it'll be funny anyway. It's very low res, but could still be hilarious. Oh, you know what? You know what I gotta do is here, wait, let's reset it. And then make a repeat. There we go. Nice.
Search had been made. Now, we had Mr. D'Antuono in as a witness, and he testified 4 times that the Mar-a-Lago search had adequate probable cause. Do you agree with that statement?
That the search had probable cause?
Correct.
Yes.
Thank you. And so
Wow,
you don't have any
groundbreaking.
dispute that there was probable cause for this warrant. I just want to say, before going to my next question, that over and over again, the FBI delayed.
Oh, man, if
and
only I could
showed
find this one as a...
unprecedented, caution before investigating the
If only I could find this one in better resolution. This would be hilarious. This is a shirt that actually would be cool to have. Nice. If it was a higher resolution, I would make I'd make this lady wear it, but it's pretty low res. It's a good shirt though. I would definitely wear that shirt to a pool party or something.
ex-president, even when there was a potential threat to national security. That's my view. That's very far from the assertion that there was unfair targeting.
Can I, on that point, if I may, while I can't discuss any specific investigation, my expectation for all of our investigations, repeatedly communicated to all of our people, and this is especially important in sensitive investigations, is that our folks take great pains to be rigorous, professional, objective, following all our policies and procedures, and do the work in the right way. And sometimes that's frustrating to others.
Well, Dan, who knew me randomly Googling Trump Hawaiian shirt pattern would find such good such good shirts? Look at I want to buy this shirt now. Ultra MAGA. Superman. Who is making these? That's awesome. This one's just from HawaiianShirts.com. Who knew there was such a thing? But it's with 2 S's, so that must be a dog whistle. Here, I'll put it in the Discord. That one's freaking awesome, man. I mean, the green one was cool too, with just the middle finger, but that one I think is better. Here, let me since this is my new favorite one. Let's where is she? This is not how I thought this stream was going to go, but I'm okay with it. Dang, I want that shirt. See, how much is it? $35. I was expecting it to be way more than that. Dang, I want that.
Of resistance on the part of the
Oh, when she... Hang on, I gotta make sure that when she moves around, it doesn't mess up. There we go.
FBI to actually look at the president or pursue that case vigorously. And although you can't comment on it, the article does suggest that FBI agents want to just close the case because the ex-president made an assertion that a search had been made. Now, we had Mr. D'Antuono in as a witness, and he testified 4 times that the Mar-a-Lago search had adequate probable cause.
The only problem is
Do you agree with that statement?
I don't think that it oh yeah, it doesn't transfer over. But you know what? It can if I want it to. Wait, why didn't it work? Oh, there we go. I was like, what the hell? What is even going on anymore? I don't know.
The search had probable cause?
Correct.
Yes.
Thank you. And so you don't have any dispute that there was probable cause for this warrant. I just want to say, before going to my next question, that over and over again, the FBI delayed and showed unprecedented caution before investigating the ex-president, even when there was a potential threat to national security. That's my view. That's very far from the assertion that there was unfair targeting.
Can I, on that point, if I may, while I can't discuss any specific investigation, my expectation for all of our investigations, repeatedly communicated to all of our people, and this is especially important in sensitive investigations, is that our folks take great pains to be rigorous, professional, objective, following all our policies and procedures, and do the work in the right way. And sometimes that's frustrating to others.
My time is almost up, and I want to ask you another question. In the Senate hearing, in response to Senator Wyden's question of whether the FBI is currently purchasing Americans' location data, you indicated that it was limited to data derived from internet advertising. It's since been reported that the FBI has admitted it bought U.S. location data. Is the FBI purchasing location data from commercial sources without a warrant?
This is an area that requires a little more precision and context for me to be able to answer that fully, so let me have my staff follow back up with you so that I make sure that I don't leave something important out.
I'll disclose.
Wow, that's awful convenient, isn't it? It just drives me insane in these types of hearings where you've got the Democrat types that the only reason that they're even speaking to them is so that they can say the platitudes. But, well, I would assume that, or I can assure you that all of our investigations are up to the highest standards, and we are doing this, blah, 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 and freedom and justice and truth in the American way, and that's what we do here with the FBI. Thank you, Director. I knew that was probably the case. I really appreciate that. You're the best.
With the FBI had 3.4 million backdoor searches of the FISA database without a warrant in 2021. Can you say whether the FBI is continuing to search the FISA database without a warrant for Americans?
Well, if you're asking about our use of 702 queries,
I am.
those are, there is no warrant requirement under the Fourth Amendment for those queries. It's fairly well settled. The 3.4 million figure that you're talking about, I guess I would say a couple things. One, that's not 3.4 million people. That's 3.4 million search terms or query terms. Second, that's not those are not queries in violation of rules. Those are just queries under the
My time has
procedure.
expired, but the
Ladies,
committee
time
will
is
look into the warrant requirement later in the
Sure will. You
process.
sure will. The gentleman from Florida is recognized.
The American people need to understand what just happened. My Democrat colleague just asked the director of the FBI.
Oh, it's Matt Gaetz. We're about to get it. We're about to get it, you guys. Look out. Oh, look out, man.
Whether or not they are buying information about our fellow Americans. And the answer is, well, we'll just have to get back to you on that. It sounds really complicated. But I have other questions. I'm sitting here with my father. I will make certain that between the man sitting next to me and every person he knows and my ability to forever hold a grudge, that you will regret not following my direction. I am sitting here waiting for the call with my father. Sounds like a shakedown, doesn't it, Director?
I'm not going to get into commenting on that.
You seem deeply uncurious about it, don't you? Almost suspicious.
Well, now that we've switched, we've established that what we're doing here is chroma keying people. Let's see. I'm sure Matt would like a Ultra MAGA Hawaiian. Oh man, that gets everybody. All these guys wearing the same damn color. Well, here, okay, that won't work, but I can do this, I bet. Not cool. Well, it makes everyone's shirt have it. The colors are too similar. Men just always wear the same colors. That's all we do. Oh, dark blue. It's black. I like it. Thank you. just make them all. Look at his hair. Okay, it's too much. I get it. It's too much.
Suspiciously uncurious. Are you protecting the Bidens?
Absolutely not. The FBI does not and has no interest in
You won't answer the question about whether or not that's a shakedown, and everybody knows why you won't answer it. Because to the millions of people who will see this, they know it is. And your inability to acknowledge that is deeply revealing about you. But let's go from the uncurious to the downright nosy. How many illegal FISA queries have occurred under your leadership of the FBI?
Well, there are reports that have come out with different numbers about compliance incidents.
More than 1 million illegal ones? Because that's what the Inspector General said. The Inspector General said that in the 3.4 million of these queries, more than 1 million were in error. Do you have any basis to disagree with that assessment by the Inspector General?
I'm not sure actually that's a correct characterization of the Inspector General.
That makes me look bad, so I'm not sure that.
The internet will remind you of that in moments. But let's now go to what the court said. The court said it was over 200,000 that have occurred on your watch. Do you have any basis to disagree with that assessment?
Again, I don't have the number as I sit here right now. What I can
Seems
tell
like
you,
a number you should know. How many times the FBI's breaking the law under your watch, especially if it's like over 1 million, to not know that number? And I'm worried about your veracity on the subject as well. Play the video.
letters for
You didn't say please.
I don't believe FISA
Oh, yeah.
is remotely implicated in our investigation.
So there, Senator Lee's asking you whether or not FISA was in any way involved in your January 6th investigation, and you say no. Was that truthful?
I said that I did not believe it was.
Okay, so now let's pull up what the court said, which was something a little different than what you said. So here, nope, that's not the right one.
Man, Matt, you got to get a better team. You only got 5 minutes, bro. We don't need the dog and pony show. That's what I'm saying. I mean, is it more cringe when it's video than when it's a poster board? I'm not sure.
Yeah, here we go. Right there, it says, the government has reported additional significant violations of the querying standard, including several relating to the January 6, 2021 breach of the Capitol. So I guess the question, Director Wray, is did you not know when you were answering these questions that the FBI was engaging in these illegal searches, or did you perjure yourself to Senator Lee?
I certainly didn't perjure myself. At the time that I testified in front of the Senate Judiciary Committee,
Someone needs to tell this woman to get her. Okay, you want to take a picture. Jeez. You don't need to do it right in front of the video camera.
I didn't have that piece of information. I will add...
Well, that was a court order. You didn't have that piece of information because the court hadn't yet rendered a judgment. Did you not know when you gave the untruthful answer before Senator Lee that this was going on?
It was a truthful answer. I did not believe FISA had been involved in the January 6th
But it was.
investigation.
So you didn't. The answer is the FBI has broken so bad that people can go and engage in queries that when you come before the Congress to answer questions, you're like blissfully ignorant. You're blissfully ignorant as to the unlawful queries. You're blissfully ignorant as to the Biden shakedown regime. And it just seems like it gets into a kind of a creepy place as well. Go to our next image on what the court said. Like, just so the American people realize, the court has smacked you down, ruling FBI personnel apparently conducted queries for improper personal reasons. People were looking themselves up. They were looking their ex-lovers up. Who has been held accountable or fired as a consequence of the FBI using the FISA process as their like creepy personal snoop machine?
Yeah, this really is this is the NSA thing all over again. This is Snowden all over again. Because this is one of the things that Snowden said was going on with the NSA. That they were just using it for personal, like the office, people would just use this stuff. I'm just going to look up what that, what my ex is doing now or whatever. But I guess at the FBI, it's worse because, those weird pictures of guys in the FBI with the rainbow dildos and them having an awful lot of child exploitation images on personal devices, not on... Actually, it's probably worse at the FBI than it was with the NSA.
There have been instances in which individuals have had disciplinary action and who are no longer with it. I can't get into it here, but we can follow back up with you.
Don't you see that that's kind of the thing, Director Wray, that you preside over the FBI that has the lowest level of trust in the FBI's history. People trusted the FBI more when J. Edgar Hoover was running the place than when you are. And the reason is because you don't give straight answers. You give answers that later a court deems aren't true. And then at the end of the day, you won't criticize an obvious shakedown when it's directly in front of us. And it appears as though you're whitewashing the conduct of corrupt people.
Respectfully, Congressman, in your home state of Florida, the number of people applying to come work for us and devote their lives working for us is up over 100%.
We're deeply proud of that.
Oh, wow. What's interesting is he didn't know anything about numbers, about anything else, but for some reason, he happens to have in the back of his mind the numbers of people applying from his state. That that kind of shows you where his priorities were coming into this. I don't know anything about any of this stuff, but I do happen to have this information here that says how many people are applying to join the FBI from your state.
And they deserve better than you.
Time of the gentleman has expired. The gentleman from Tennessee is recognized for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr.
Hey, that's my
Chairman,
guy.
Director Wray. I thank you for continuing to serve with all of these attempts to sully your name, suggestions
And he's a
committed
prick.
crimes, when you've done an excellent job as FBI director. I don't agree with everything you've done, but mostly I do, and I think the FBI is our premier law enforcement agency, and I support law enforcement. To attack the FBI is to attack law enforcement in general. A few days after Mar-a-Lago, there was some individual went after the Cincinnati headquarters of the FBI.
I can only assume this woman sitting behind him with the mask on is also from Tennessee. God, what a terrible showing for Tennessee right now. Making us look pathetic.
FBI. You tell us a little bit about that and how you think that came about.
So the incident that you're asking about,
Oh, but you know what I do have now? Is a chance to do something great. Oh God, that's not what I meant to do. I didn't want to make him look like a demon or anything. Oh God. Man, I thought that color would be different enough that I'd be able to use it, but apparently not. I tried, man. It's not quite there. They can't all be winners.
A few days after Mar-a-Lago, there was some individual went after the Cincinnati headquarters of the FBI. You tell us a little bit about that and how you think that came about.
So the incident that you're asking about was obviously deeply disturbing. We had an individual wearing a tactical vest, armed with an AR-style rifle and a nail gun, who attempted to forcibly enter and attack our Cincinnati field office. A subsequent review of the subject's devices and online postings identified a...
It's remarkable how the people that are in his camp, he has these lengthy answers just ready to go. I know everything about this. Let me explain it to you. Matt Getz asked him a question and he's like, yeah, I have no idea. I wouldn't know. I do know exactly, though, the number of people applying to the FBI from your state, but all the other things I have no idea.
A pretty striking anti-FBI, anti-federal law enforcement hostility. He was calling on others to kill federal law enforcement, claiming that he felt he was fighting in his words, civil war.
Suddenly, he can tell everything about this investigation. Can't say a word about anything else, but this one, he's got all the details for you, and he's able to give them to you. It's amazing.
And it's unfortunately part of a broader phenomenon that we have seen, not just against the FBI, and this is important to add, but against law enforcement all across the country. Not just against law enforcement professionals themselves, which is appalling enough, but calling for attacks against their families, which is truly despicable.
I'd like to see some evidence of that, sir.
Eventually was captured and eliminated, was he not?
Yes.
A few days later, was the Arizona FBI department the subject of armed violence, or not violence, but armed protesters?
Well, I know that our Phoenix field office has had a number of very
What is it about this story that makes him nervous? Because he did it again, playing with his microphone.
concerning security incidents where people attempted to attack or breach the facility. I can't remember the dates of when that happened, but
All of this has happened kind of in the same sphere. It's been information that's been put out on social media and in just in general. And
This guy from Tennessee, look at his stupid America and Ukraine pin.
Members of the Congress questioning the FBI, questioning.
What a loser. Enhance. Computer, enhance. What an absolute jackass.
Law enforcement in general, and this has had a deleterious effect on the safety of FBI officials, and you said others like justice. There was a story the other day, I believe, about people involved in the prosecution of the former president and threats to them, the DOJ personnel as well as FBI. Is that something that's going on presently? Is there efforts to have a unit at the FBI maybe look into how to protect and defend law enforcement personnel who are threatened with violence?
we did stand up a whole dedicated unit to focus on threats to FBI individuals, FBI employees, and FBI facilities because of the uptick that we saw over that time period.
The January 6th, was beyond a weaponization of government. It was a nuclearization of government against the government.
I'm sorry, what?
I believe I heard that you said that you didn't have any prior notice or reason to believe that there would be such an event on January 6th. Is that correct?
We did not, to my knowledge at least, have prior knowledge of an attempt, a violent overthrow of and breach of the Capitol building itself. Certainly.
Which really isn't exactly a legit characterization of what happened. But you know what's interesting is that admission in and of itself, doesn't that mean that it was nothing more than a protest that got violent? Or as what we learned from Black Lives Matter and Antifa, just an expression of the unheard? Could it actually be a seditious conspiracy? Apparently, there was no rumblings that this was ever going to happen prior to this going down. Well, wouldn't that suggest that it was? It seems that that's not in line with what I've been told by everyone from the current president of the United States on down to CNN. Across the board, that's not what I've been told. I've been told this was a heavily planned attempt to overthrow the American government. Or maybe it wasn't. Who knows?
We were concerned about and put out a number of products, intelligence products, to partners and others, warning of the potential for violence more generally on that date.
So there have been, I think Tucker Carlson and some of the members' colleagues on the other side of the aisle have said that Wray Epps was a secret government agent in helping encourage this crime so as to make the president look bad. Do you have any knowledge of Wray Epps being a secret government agent?
No. I will say this notion that somehow the violence at the Capitol on January 6th was part of some operation orchestrated by FBI sources and agents is ludicrous and is a disservice to our brave, hardworking, dedicated men and women.
Director, I agree with you. I think the FBI has some of the most talented law enforcement people in our nation and in the world. And they are concerned about safety. They tend to, as I understand it, lean Republican, but they do their job down the line, and that's what they're supposed to do. I'm happy we have the FBI operating in Memphis and other places to work with our police departments.
Oh, yeah. Memphis is doing great, you guys. I don't know if you've heard anything about Memphis, Tennessee. it's a left wing and law enforcement paradise, man. It's going great. They're just nailing it down there. It doesn't have one of the highest murder rates in the country or anything. They're nailing it. Doing just fantastic job.
And joint units to protect our citizens, and I thank you for your service to the United States, and I yield back my time.
Gentleman yields back. Gentleman from California is recognized.
Thank you. Director, I'm going to follow up on my colleague from Memphis. How many individuals were either FBI employees or people that the FBI had made contact with were in the January 6th entry of the Capitol and surrounding area?
So I really need to be careful here talking about where we have or have not used confidential human sources.
Was there one or more? Was there one or more individuals that would fit that description on January 6th that were in or around the Capitol?
I believe there is a filing in one of the January 6 cases that can provide a little more information about this, and I'm happy to see if we can follow back up with you.
I just want an answer. Was there one or more? I mean, you would know if there was at least one individual who worked for the FBI who entered the Capitol on that day.
I can't, again, I just can't speak to that here, but I'm happy to get the court filing that.
Look, it's been 2 years, and you're now come before us. The gentleman asks these questions, makes all kinds of insinuations, and you nod your head yes, and then I ask you simply, was there one or more? And you won't answer that. So I'm going to make the assumption that there was more than one, more than 5, more than 10, and that you're ducking the question because you don't want to answer for the fact that you had at least one and somehow missed understanding that some of the individuals were very dangerous and that there were others inciting individuals to enter the Capitol after others broke windows. So I'm just going to move on because I think it is time to move on past.
It is hilarious, man. It's like, certain things, oh man, I can tell you every single intricacy of this case from start to finish, everything about it. Did the FBI have anybody present at the on January 6th? Oh, well, I don't have exact numbers. Let my people get back to you. I'm not exactly sure. Who knows? I don't work here. What are you doing here? I'm not an expert. It's like the guy, the head of the ATF say, well, I don't know. I'm not an expert on firearms. Fantastic.
January 6th, I just, seems that the other side won't. You're a near cabinet level individual. You enjoy a term in Senate confirmation. Do you feel comfortable speaking to other members, either cabinet level or sub-cabinet level, when appropriate, to resolve problems within the government?
Absolutely.
Okay. And so when the FBI censored the United States government, you wouldn't have to just take it down by calling Meta or Google, would you?
I'm sorry, I'm not sure I'm following the question.
Are you familiar with the official verified Russian language account of the United States Department of State that was taken down at your agency's request?
That doesn't ring a bell as I sit here right now, no.
Okay, well, now you have something to take back and look at. Okay. Because, in fact, in this bundle that SBU constantly was submitting to various agencies was, in fact, a Russian language statement of a government. Literally, you took down the free speech of the Department of State.
So,
yes, go ahead.
You mentioned SBU. I'm not sure we're talking about the same thing, but I will endeavor to provide a little more context, at least as to SBU.
What?
Yes.
I've never heard about this one. I'm going to have to look this one up.
I believe what you may be referring to, but I'm not sure we're talking about the same thing, is that when Russia invaded Ukraine, the Security Service of Ukraine, the SBU, which is a long-standing good partner of the FBI, asked us for help on a whole range of things. And one of those things was to contact U.S. companies on their behalf because the Russians, the invasion, had cut off the Ukrainians' communications. And so we did pass through information from the SBU to social
Are
media.
you also familiar with the fact that President Zelensky has had to clean house at the SBU?
I know there have been a number of personnel changes.
Okay. Well, we'll follow up with this in more detail. The question I have for you is, you're the premier law enforcement operation, and you're a former Department of Justice, high-ranking executive at all levels. So would you agree that the job of the FBI is criminal investigation?
Is criminal investigation and to protect the country from national security threats, those two things.
Okay. So the idea that you take information and you have it taken down, use your authority and the leverage you have to have Meta, Google, Facebook being Meta, or Twitter, take down people's information on things like where COVID came from. Where do you find the national security interest in that? Where do you find the interest in free speech of American citizens?
Man, who is this guy from California? I don't even heard of this guy. But, you know, I'm not exactly paying attention to California anymore.
Being taken down. And I repeat, free speech of American citizens. Where do you have that authority?
So we don't ask social media companies to censor information or suppress information when it comes to national security threats, certainly. So what we do is alert them when some other intelligence agency gives us information about a...
Yeah, this is what they love to do. It's this semantic game of, no, we don't take down the information. We just strongly suggest that they take it down, and they always do it. Oh, well, that's like how, you know, vaccine mandates. No one was requiring you to get the vaccine. You weren't forced to get it. Well, what happens if I don't get it? Well, you lose your job, your livelihood, and could potentially go to jail. Oh, well, that's totally different then, I guess, somehow. Listen, we never directly told anyone to do anything and never took anything down. All we did was tell them, we strongly suggest that you do what we say. Well, what happens if I don't? Well, we're the FBI. That's all I'm saying. Just saying we're the FBI, you know? We're the FBI. I mean, you can take that to mean what you will, but yeah, no, they did everything we told them to do, but it wasn't us censoring anything. They were the ones who physically did it. Sure, I told the guy, hey man, this isn't cool. You know what would be cool? Is if someone took that down. And then he took it down of his own free will. I have no idea why or how or what went into his decision making on that, but he did it. We just looked at them and said, "Hey man, you're not censoring enough stuff, and it'd be a lot cooler if you did."
Foreign intelligence service being behind some account, we will call social media companies' attention to that. But at the end of the day, we're very clear that it's up to the social media companies to decide whether to do something about it or not.
The suggestion of the most powerful law enforcement operation is not a suggestion. It is, in fact, effectively an order. Mr. Chairman, I yield back.
Gentleman yields back. Gentleman from Georgia is recognized.
He is definitely correct on that.
We are here today because MAGA Republicans will do anything to protect Donald Trump, their savior, no matter how unfounded or dangerous it may be to do so. Welcome to the legislative arm of the Trump re-election campaign. A grand jury found probable cause that, among other crimes, Trump illegally kept highly sensitive national security documents, which could put our country and others and our sources in danger if they got out, and which photographs show Trump kept those records in bathrooms, showers, closets, and in the Mar-a-Lago ballroom. MAGA Republicans are afraid that the justice system might hold Trump accountable for his actions. So,
I mean, he's being particularly over the top, but you know that anytime someone says MAGA Republicans, you can just tune out on everything else that they're about to say. The MAGA Republican. Okay, well, okay. You have fun over there. We'll be over here. Bye.
So to protect them, Republicans are trying to intimidate FBI officials. And in case that does not work, Republicans are trying their hardest to discredit the FBI in the eyes of the American public.
Bruh. Do you know how many people trusted the FBI before this? I mean, I gotta tell you, it wasn't a lot. Don't get me wrong. It's gone down. The trust in the FBI and all other major institutions has gone down, which is fantastic. You're finally getting to our level. But I mean, it's not like trust in the FBI was ever up at like 90%. I'm pretty sure trust in the FBI before all this nonsense was generally somewhere between like people who said they trusted the FBI was like 60-something%. So it's not even like it was just like everyone trusted them and now the MAGA Republicans are coming in trying to sow a seed of doubt to destroy the very foundation of law enforcement in our nation.
When
This
Trump
guy.
lost in 2020, they tried to make Americans distrust their election systems. And now that the FBI...
And I gotta say, that was lame because they were stealing the playbook of the Democrats, who still say that Trump didn't legitimately win the 2016 election. So, there's that.
FBI and the Justice Department have sought to hold Trump to the same standard any other American citizen would be held to.
Except Hunter Biden, of course. Of course. Ah, son of a bitch. I hit it again.
To protect Trump, Republicans are trying to distract us from the real work that the FBI does every day, which is fighting violent criminals, child predators, and fighting domestic terrorists and extremists so as to protect our democracy and our national security. And even worse...
I feel like I'm back on TikTok Tuesday. What the hell is going on? Except it's an old black guy instead of a young white girl, but I feel the same. It makes me feel the same.
MAGA Republicans are stirring up threats that pose a danger to the safety of FBI employees. It's past time that Republicans realize the consequences of their words and put the good of this country over politics. Now, Director Wray, I want to thank you for your service during a time of unprecedented...
Isn't it weird how much, in just a short period of time, the way that the parties have changed their opinions? Could you imagine a guy like this saying what he just said, even 5 years ago? First of all, I'd like to thank you for your service. Even just that. Do you think that would have been said? It's so bizarre to see all these people on the Democrat side who have so long been against war, been against people like the director of the FBI, now actually saying things that sound like what Republicans and conservatives used to say. Which is just blanket allegiance. First of all, I'd just like to thank you for your service. You're the greatest guy I've ever met. You're a good looking guy. Anyone ever tell you that? That's a nice haircut you got there.
Travail. Director Wray, you were a partner at an international law firm before you took a drastic pay cut to accept the job of FBI director. Isn't that correct?
Yes, that's something my wife reminds me of from time to time.
And
so when he takes a pay cut, it's enduring, and it means that he's really doing this out of the goodness of his heart. When Trump comes into office, takes a huge pay cut, doesn't even take the salary or anything. It's well, no one cares. Doesn't matter.
But let me ask you this, sir. And you took this office after Trump fired the former FBI director, Jim Comey, correct?
Yes, sir.
And did you contact the Trump administration to offer yourself for this job, or did the administration recruit you for the job?
They contacted me and asked me if I would be willing to consider taking on the role.
So Trump handpicked you to be the FBI director.
Yes.
And he expected you to do what he wanted you to do, correct?
Well, that I can't speak to. I can tell you the same thing I told him, which is that I'm going to do this job by the book.
Respect to Director Wray for saying it that way. I wasn't sure how he was going to answer that for a second there. I was like, I don't know how he's going to answer that. I kind of thought for a second he was going to answer it in that way where he was going to say something like, well, I can't really speak to that, but it would seem that way. So he wants to say yes, but he knows he can't because it's not true, but it kind of seems that way. Hey, props to you for not taking that bait, at least.
He's unhappy with you now, isn't he?
I'll let him speak for himself.
Well, I think a lot of his acolytes here reflect his intent at this particular time. Director Wray, are you aware that MAGA Republicans have repeatedly called for the FBI to be defunded?
I have heard some of that language.
In fact, Republicans on this very committee have said that your institution should be dismantled. Isn't that correct?
Well, I think certain members have.
And one member even tweeted, quote, defund and dismantle the FBI, end quote. Another told Fox News that, quote, Republicans should defund the bureaucracy, end quote. And a third told the press that he thinks the FBI, quote, needs to be split up and moved out into pieces, end quote. Those are...
You know, it actually kind of irritates me that they're giving Trump and what's going on here full credit for people waking up to the fact that we should dismantle the FBI. Because that kind of bums me out. That he gets full credit? Come on. I've been saying that for like 10 years. And I'm not the only one, because I wasn't the one who came. Someone had to tell me and show me what was going on. But there's been a lot of people moving for this for a long time. I mean, hey, I'm happy that what's going on is finally getting people to wake up, I guess you could say. But come on, to act like this movement started with Trump and now it's because they went after Trump. Plenty of MAGA Republicans were saying this before they even went after Trump, because it was very obvious that they were going after Trump before he even took office. I mean, weren't they the ones under Obama's administration that were tapping his phones and stuff? But no, come on. Ron Paul and others like him need to get the credit for the fact that we're moving to a place where a large number of our legislators are finally actually going, you know what, we should probably get rid of the FBI, you guys. Which is great, because that means we're one step closer to the ATF. That's what we, get rid of the FBI, totally on board. ATF, oh man, that would be great. Of course, any kind of homeland surveillance, NSA, DHS, all that stuff. Get rid of all of it. Completely remove it. Doesn't need to be here. Never should have been put in the first place. I mean, the fact that the CIA is still around at all is only a testament to the fact that how much oversight they do not have. How autonomous they truly are. They operate completely outside of the Constitution, outside of the government, outside of everything. They just take the money, siphon it off, and occasionally go, oh shit, we lost another $4 billion. Well, oopsie. Oh yeah, and by the way, there was a leader in some country, shithole country you never heard of, that was has been toppled, and we now have control of that nation through proxies. Oh, really? Shit! Wow. What are the odds? Who could have seen that? Oh, wow. But yeah, they want to give Trump the credit for this because it makes it easier for them to go after Trump right now. Yeah, Bongino. I mean, people have been talking about this. Hundreds and hundreds of people have been talking about it. And then, if we can get people on board with getting rid of the FBI, eventually that'll lead to the ATF. We'll start getting rid of all these alphabet soup. And then, the ultimate goal, we'll get rid of the Federal Reserve. It's going to be great. One piece at a time, you guys. If they want to give Trump credit for all that, fine. But this is the groundwork has been laid for this a long time ago. And I'm just waiting for it to happen.
Direct quotes and only a small sample of what's out there. Can you briefly describe for us what the effect would be on our national security and on our domestic tranquility if the FBI were to be defunded or dismantled?
Well, certainly it would be disastrous for 38,000 hardworking career law enforcement professionals and their families, but more importantly,
no one gives a shit about the Fed boys. You think you're going to appeal to my emotions on this? Go to hell, asshole. Go to hell.
in many ways, it would hurt our great state and local law enforcement partners who depend on us every day to work with them on a whole slew of challenging threats. It would hurt the American people, neighborhoods and communities all across this country. The people we're protecting from cartels, violent criminals, gang members, predators, foreign.
Oh, it would greatly. The southern border would be having a hard time, because remember, you know, when he started this whole thing out in his opening statement, and we are just nailing it on the southern border. It'd be really bad. Like suddenly there'd be like all these cartel people coming across, and it'd be like all this fentanyl, and people would be dying in the streets. It would just be crazy. Oh wait, that's happening already? Well, shit.
And domestic terrorists, cyber attacks, I could go on and on. The people it would help.
God, every single thing. Now he brings up cyber attacks. Dude. Oh, man. Actually listening to this guy talk, that's all you need to do. Yeah, if someone says, I'm not sure we need to get rid of the FBI, here. Listen to the director talk for a little while. And you go, wait a minute. Did he just say the FBI is doing a good job countering cyber attacks? Wait, did he just say they're doing a great job stopping fentanyl come across the border? Okay.
Would be those same violent gangs and cartels, foreign terrorists, Chinese spies, hackers, and so forth.
A member.
Man, every single one of the things that he brought up has just been a disaster. Oh man, and he brings up Chinese spies. Dude, what planet does this guy live on?
Time of the gentleman has expired. Chair now recognizes the gentleman from Colorado for 5 minutes.
I thank the chairman. Director Wray, thank you. Thank you for your work with the FBI and
Colorado.
Thank you for your history of work in law enforcement. You started out as at AUSA, and I'm getting this information from Wikipedia, the great font of knowledge in the digital age, and so I'm assuming that it's true, but you started out as an AUSA. You were nominated by Republican President Bush for the position of Assistant Attorney General in the Criminal Division at the Department of Justice, and you were confirmed by a Republican Senate, if I am correct in that.
Yes, by unanimous voice vote.
And you were then nominated by Republican President Donald Trump to be the FBI director, and again confirmed by the Republican Senate for that position.
Yes, I think there were only 5 votes against me, and they were all from Democrats.
According to Wikipedia, you're still a registered Republican, and I hope you don't change your party affiliation after this hearing is over. But I want to thank you. I want to thank you for leading an agency, as you mentioned in your opening statement, that protects Americans from foreign terrorists. That an agency.
I do think it's also really interesting that you got these. I mean, it's all the Democrats, but you got the Republicans that are still old guard Republicans. These establishment people that just do not understand. They cannot comprehend that we'd like to move past these people. Who gives a shit about the Republican Party, my dude? Nobody. Most of you are just as bad as the Democrats, man. The Uniparty. There's only a handful of people that are actually worth a damn. But yeah, I just think it's funny. You hear this occasionally still with the wanting to, the party lines, and we got to, don't leave the party, and this and that about the party, and it's like, dude, who gives a rat's ass about the party? Yeah, I mean, it's a uniparty. I mean, this is not a... before I even started to get more and more into politics when I was younger, I used to say this even then. When I'd listen to people talk about politics in the United States, I'd laugh and just say things like, what are you talking about? Our nation has been on a leftward path regardless of who was in office. It's not like we had just some great people, some great right-wing conservatives who came in and just totally about-face just turned the whole nation in a totally different direction. That has never happened. What are you smoking? I mean, there may be some people who came in and said some things and maybe tried to implement some small level changes. And I was talking to left-leaning people because I was always playing music and stuff, and it was mostly leftists, and they would complain about the right-wing conservative bent of America. And I was like, when? In 1955? What the fuck are you talking about? It's like, where are we living in the same country? Come on, dude. But no, yeah, the party's super duper important. If we had two parties that were actually countering each other, then maybe, maybe it would be important, but come on. Are you going to tell me that we've ever made a hard right-wing shift any point in the last 40 years? I mean, come on. You can have people who say things, but they're not doing anything. They're not changing anything. The country has been going left for decades upon decades. Just look at the list of gun laws and how it's grown. Come on, get out of here.
Agency that protects Americans from spies from China and Russia, and cybercrime and public corruption and organized crime and drug cartels and human traffickers and white-collar criminals. And I want to thank you and the FBI for protecting law-abiding Americans from the evil that exists all around us. Director Wray, you know this, but it's worth mentioning again anyway. The FBI doesn't protect America because this is a beautiful country. It doesn't protect America just because of the citizens who live in this country. You and the FBI protect America because of the values that we hold, because of our constitutional republic, because this is a special place, and the rest of the world knows just how special.
Oh man, that was dumb as hell. God, talk about a semantic game. What is the point of, what is he even trying to say here? He said, you don't protect it because of these things. You protect it because of these things. Well, those are the same things. What the hell are you talking about? That's like saying, you don't protect the United States because of the people. You protect it because of the culture. Well, what? Aren't those the same thing? I mean that's the same thing, right? Where does the culture come from? I mean, that's essentially what this guy just said. Good job.
This place is. Director Wray, I'm concerned about FISA. I'm not concerned about FISA in a partisan way, and frankly, I am not in favor of defunding the FBI, nor am I in favor of splitting up the FBI, nor am I in favor of using the Holman Rule for the FBI director. I'm concerned about FISA because I'm concerned about what makes this place special and the threats to us. And I would love to work with the FBI on how we can protect Americans at the same
get to a
time
point.
protecting the civil liberties
is there a question?
of Americans. And that area of FISA is what really concerns me. And I know you have gone to great lengths to try work with FBI agents on how they access information under 702. And I know that at times it has been successful and at times it has not been successful. But the spirit of FISA and the spirit of our constitutional republic really demands that the FBI culture shift. And it shifts to a place where FBI agents understand that protecting Americans' civil liberties, that protecting the privacy that we all enjoy in this country, even though we screw up, we still enjoy this privacy. And in court, we have the highest burden of proof the world has ever known to prove a case beyond a reasonable doubt. And that has
definitely
to be,
not anymore.
That information has to be gathered by the government in a legal way. And so I fear that we are going to overcorrect on FISA in Congress, that we are going to take away some tools that are necessary because there is a trust factor here
this guy.
that's missing. And I'd love to know how we can draw that line in a way that assures the civil liberties. I agree with my colleague from California, and I don't.
Oh man, Mr. Buck, holy shit! I had to just take a quick break from the politician speak. I mean, damn. I'm also getting just whiplash from going back and forth. It's man. All right, let's see if we can finish it. I wonder if is there going to be a question at the end of this, or is it just going to be political ramblings? I mean, wow.
I don't often agree with folks from California, but I agree with my colleague from California that it is essential that we not get geolocation information from the what I consider criminals at big tech, and that we protect that information for Americans. You as a law enforcement official.
Dude, this is the reason why the left, like actual left wing and the actual communists have just been able to bulldoze through a lot of this crap. Listen to this guy. His squishy, not want to hurt anyone's feelings. Let me preface everything I'm going to say to the utmost degree where I'm basically just making out with you in front of the public and telling you how great you are. This is awesome. But I maybe possibly disagree about this one. But everything else is great. You're awesome. And you know, actually, you know what? It's totally fine. I'm sorry.
Should not know where I am necessarily unless you have probable cause to get that information. I'm also concerned about the ability of law enforcement, and particularly the FBI, to access information. When I go on the internet and I search for a gun vault or I search for a holster, I don't want the government to know that I own a gun. And I think I have that privacy right to make sure the government doesn't know that I own a gun.
He sounds like he's about to cry,
any
too.
other information that I search for on the internet, unless you've got probable cause to make that search. And so I want to ask you a question in the last few seconds, and that is, how can you work on the culture in the FBI and help us reach that sweet spot on FISA?
Well, thank you for that. Certainly, we, starting with first principles, try to drive home every day to our entire...
And now we're going to get the same kind of answer that ridiculous question was. It's going to meander around back and it's something about, we always try to do the best that we can, and sometimes we mess up, but we'll always try to be doing better and not actually ever say a damn thing.
Entire workforce, that our mission is to both protect the American people and uphold the Constitution. And we have, on the issue of FISA, clearly had failures in the past. I've been very plain about that, and we've implemented a whole series of reforms. And if you look at the reports that have started to come out now from the FISA court, from ODNI, from the Justice Department, from others who have looked at the effect of our reforms, over and over again, they are showing significant improvement in compliance. We're talking about the most recent FISA court opinion finding 98% compliance.
Okay, I can't take much more of this. I just want to skip to, I read a headline about what's his name? Oh, that dumbass. What's his name? In here somewhere. Must have been towards the end. Oh God, I saw some of her questioning. Man, I can't watch this on stream because I'll get in trouble for that. God, she was just insufferable. No, where is... All I'll say about Miss Bush here is that if you're at a hearing, I mean, this is a federal hearing, and you say things like, I'm going to ask you a question... Well, yeah. That's all I have to say about that. I mean, none of the other black people that were there talked like that. God, I'm gonna actually... God, where is this clip? I think it's really dumb when people treat talking like that, saying things like axe, A-X-E instead of A-S-K as like it's an accent. It's not an accent. Okay, it's stupid. Dude, this is driving me nuts. I mean, maybe I can, if I just Google it. Let's see, judiciary hearing, committee hearing, Wait, how am I having such a hard time finding this? I saw it on Twitter. I wanted to watch this whole thing and then, or his whole part, and then call it a night. God, what is that guy's name? It's not Kinzinger, but he reminds me of Kinzinger. What the hell is his name? That little sniveling loser. What the hell is his name? I don't know why I cannot think of this guy's name. That's how much I care about the things he has to say. Oh, son of a bitch. Come on. Oh, there's also, I mean, we could listen to Schiff because, man, he's great. Ah, that's him. See, he looks like Kinzinger, doesn't he? Swalwell. God, I could not remember that guy's name. Doesn't he kind of look like Adam Kinzinger? Maybe it's because I've only seen him in low res. Maybe if he had a beard. I don't know. For some reason, maybe it's just because they're both spineless little weasels is really all the only similarity I find. No, I saw some of Swalwell on Twitter and I was like, I gotta watch this. It was hilarious.
A chance. How soon are you going to complete this internal investigation so we can talk to these folks who put this together?
I expect us to be able to brief the committee on our internal review later this summer.
Will that briefing include the names of the individuals who put this document together attacking Americans' First Amendment liberty?
I'm not sure yet what it'll include because it's not done yet, but when it is, we'll provide you with an appropriate briefing.
What are you doing to fix it so this doesn't happen again?
Well, we've already started putting in place a number of fixes, and those will be further informed by the results of the review.
What are those fixes? More training, more things, more. That's that same thing you told us on FISA. And while you may have some improvement, you still got 204,000 times the database was illegally searched. So what are the training and procedures you're putting in place?
Well, I'll put the FISA stuff to the side.
I'm just using that as an example of where you've told us the same thing, you fixed something, and you haven't.
I do not believe the number that you just invoked on the FISA side is since the reforms, the fixes, as you called them.
Can we get an unredacted?
Those post-date the numbers that you're referring to.
Director, can we get an unredacted copy while you're still doing this internal investigation? Can we at least get an unredacted copy of this memorandum?
I will find out if there's
more. Oh, come on,
let's
get to the good stuff, man.
Shared with you. We've tried to be very careful.
Oh, I haven't
in what
disliked
we redact,
this
and there's
video
always
yet.
A basis for it. So let me go back and see if there's more that we can provide. Are sacrificing because of who they love. Is that they the guy.
Your work buddy.
Oh, look at this loser.
It's quite rich that
actions.
Here we go. Here we go. Everybody.
Director, I think it's quite rich that the guy that has accused you of lawlessness and weaponization is 400 days into violation of his own congressional subpoena over January 6th. Quite rich to me that you're hearing all of these allegations from somebody who won't even respond to a lawful subpoena. But I want to talk more about your workforce because that's where you started. A couple weeks ago at the Bureau, you had Family Day. Can you tell us what Family Day is?
Family Day is an opportunity for employees from really all over the FBI. It tends to be primarily from the nearby geographies because of the trip that they have to make to employees to bring their families into FBI headquarters.
Man, this is going to be important. I bet you this is going to lead to something really important.
Work and why mom or dad is spending so much time away from home.
You see any little kids at Family Day?
Many, many, many. It's an opportunity for us to say thank you to the families. We talk a lot in law enforcement about sacrifice, but the reality is that law enforcement officers and professionals are sacrificing to do what they love. Our families are sacrificing because of who they love.
It's like because of who they love. I mean, every one of these hearings, why it's just so brutal to get through, where there's certain things that you should hear, but there's so few and far between, and most of it is just this nonsense political blowhard. Oh well, what they're doing and the importance of family and the blah 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 blah. they really just think everyone's retarded. It's why they still have, like Biden's handlers still have him go out and say things like, it's about democracy, and that's what we stand for, the freedoms. Okay. Why do you suck? I don't need to hear the platitudes and the random opinings on the abstract importance of loving everyone for who they are and meeting them where they are and showing them that we care about where they are, who they are, no matter who they love. Well. So back to what I was saying about you illegally collecting all the data on every American who buys firearms. No, don't you get it? It's about our democracy, and it's about, we may mess up sometimes. We may not always get things right, but we're always working to get better, and we're doing the best that we can. And really, the point is, you'd be much worse if we weren't here. Okay? So again, you censoring millions of Americans? No statement about that? Well, the thing is, we have kids that come to the FBI headquarters sometimes for Family Day. Well. So, nothing about your direct communication with Mark Zuckerberg, telling people they can't talk about COVID or where it came from, or none of that? Well, my son likes to have sex with other men. Well. That clears it up. Fantastic. Thank you. Thank you for that.
And what would you say, in your experience, is the number one worry of a little kid about a mom or dad who was a special agent out in the field?
God, this is painful.
Obviously, they're worried that their mom or dad won't come home at night because they've been
Oh,
killed. And that,
man.
in fact, has happened, unfortunately.
No way. That's
Well,
actually
Lauderdale, a couple
that's actually
years ago, is that
happened?
right?
No
Laura
way.
Schwarzenberger and Dan Alphen, two of our agents killed in connection with a child exploitation case down there. It was the single darkest day I've had in this job.
I want to turn your attention to an organization called
man.
Marco Polo. It's run by a former Trump aide named Garrett Ziegler. Over the past couple weeks, he has doxed the addresses of a former special agent connected to the Hunter Biden case. He has put up the dates of births and pictures of two current special agents who work for you. He has said the name, which I will not say, of an assistant U.S. attorney who worked in the Hunter Biden case, that she will answer for.
Did you see that? He's the first guy who's been speaking who he spiked the camera. He looked right into the camera. Oh, you see it right there? I happened to catch it. Watch this. I feel like that's kind of says a bit about this guy. He's the first person to have done that. Watch, he does it briefly. He looks
Garrett
directly
Ziegler.
into the camera.
Over the past couple weeks, he has doxed the addresses of a former special agent connected to the Hunter Biden case. He has put up dates of births and pictures of two current special agents.
I
who
see he
work
did
for
it
you.
again.
He has said the name, which I will not say, of an assistant U.S. attorney who worked in the Hunter Biden case.
Oh, he did it right at the end of that one.
She will answer for her crimes. He will focus everything on her. Justice will be done. It's out of my hands, but
He does it where he looks down at Christopher Wray, or Chris Wray, whatever his name is. He looks down at him and then looks up at the camera for a second and then goes back to reading. That's what he loves, man. He's here for, man. Were people listening? Didn't you see how emotional I was? I mean, I'm connecting with you guys. I talked about Family Day. And did you know? The number one fear of a child whose parents work in law enforcement is that they might not come home. And not only that, it's actually happened before. Sir, that is not that is not what we're here to talk about.
She will answer. Do these types of threats and doxing concern you about?
Oh, he did it again.
Threats to your workforce and what it could mean?
Well, obviously, what we're most concerned about are
Every time he's got to look right at the camera for just a split second.
the actual acts of violence, which themselves have happened, and as we just discussed. But this kind of phenomenon, doxing, is itself hugely problematic because the more information.
That's why we had to go after Snowden and
law
Assange
enforcement professionals that are out in the internet, the more people who may be unstable or inclined to violence there are out there who can choose to act on it. And we're seeing that all too often. The number of officers across law enforcement killed in the line of duty has been up alarmingly over the last few years. And I know that because one of the things I committed to doing early in my tenure.
Yeah, you know what I mean? And this is all just, as Jerry Nadler said at the beginning, this is all political theater, man. This could not be less relevant to what we're here to talk about. This is a politician's speech where you don't actually talk about any of the things that we're supposed to be talking about. Son of a bitch, I'm going to try to pull on your heartstrings here. See, I'm not such a bad guy.
Tenure was every time an officer anywhere in the country is shot and killed in the line of duty, I was going to personally call that sheriff or that chief, and on behalf of the FBI, express our support and condolences and relay that to the family. And I have done that now close to 400 times since I've been in this job.
Thank you for doing that. And you don't only do that, you
What the hell does that have to do with what we're here to talk about? I mean, it's good for you. But you know what? You know what also makes it less important? Is you using it for political points. Come on, bro. That's the kind of thing that if you heard about somebody, you're like, hey, see that guy over there? He insisted on personally making 400 calls to families and police chiefs after people died in the line of duty to give his condolences. You go, oh wow, that's a good guy. But when that guy comes and tells you that he's the guy that does that and he insisted on it and he wants you to know it, I'm pretty sure that's in the Bible, you guys. You're not supposed to, put it out there like that. It's just not, it's not the same, man.
You send your SACs, your special agents in charge, to their funerals as well, and I've seen that. Chairman, I've counted in this hearing,
oh man,
we're only about an hour and a half in, the use of the word laptop about 20 times. In fact, in the chairman's opening statement, he said that he's upset that he believes the FBI prevented more Americans from learning about a private citizen's laptop.
Oh, shut up.
Bananas to me. You all are bringing up FISA.
You have got to be kidding me.
You're essentially saying to the American people that you're guardians of personal security and privacy, but the 2020 election was determined because the FBI didn't let more Americans see a private citizen's non-consensual nudes? Is that what we're saying here? That you...
What? What a jackass, man. Holy crap, dude. Talk about just hamming it up for he's trying to get clicks. I don't know, dude. First of all, to act as if he's some kind of, you guys wanted to violate the privacy of a private citizen? As if we're talking about some random person no one's ever heard of. I could be wrong. Okay. The president's son is a public figure. Pretty sure. Could be wrong. And no, this is what the Democrats keep doing this. You know, he said, you're fighting for the right to people to, you wanted more people to know about Hunter Biden's nudes. No. God, what an idiot. I think it's very important for law enforcement to see those because, yes, there is a lot of underage things going on as well as prostitution and drugs. I mean, I think that's important for law enforcement to have. They'll never do anything about it because they're just totally, no one's above the law. I mean, except for, I mean, come on. I mean, some people are. Come on. But clearly that's not the issue. The issue was all of the emails and texts and stuff that was on the hard drive of the laptop. And not just one laptop. Sometimes people forget that. There's been like 3 laptops from Hunter that have been found because this guy just could not hold on to a laptop to save his life. But there's tons of emails. It has to do with him talking with Joe Biden about direct corruption from going back to the vice presidency up to what was about to be the current election. But they keep making it to be like, why are you so obsessed with Hunter Biden's nudes? Good Lord. It's like I've said before about the people who say that if you like guns and you are into guns and you research guns and you watch gun videos, you must have a gun fetish, man. Why do you guys always make everything about sex? Everything. All the time. I can't just like a thing. I must want to have sex with it. The Hunter Biden laptop doesn't have to do with all of the pornography and the nudes that he had on it. It has to do with the emails that said 10% to the big guy. And all the emails between him and, Burisma and interactions with the Chinese government and Chinese companies and the money, the millions of dollars that was being... That's what it's about. For 5 seconds, please, God, just for 5 seconds, think about something other than sex. Please. That's all I'm asking. Jeez.
Lost the election not because of your ideas, but because a private citizen's laptop.
Do you want an answer? Will you yield?
Wasn't out there?
Will you yield?
That's bananas. Like, you should be a party of ideas, not a party of
Dude,
non-consensual
this guy, what a
to help you win an
loser.
election.
Will you yield for an
answer? It seems
answer?
like that is what the objection is here today. We should be talking about the mass shootings that occurred over the last 10 days.
Oh my God. All he's doing now is just using this. This is what happens most of the time with these hearings. I'm surprised there hasn't been more of this. Just grandstanding about random issues that have nothing to, random hot button political issues. I'm surprised we're not talking about mass shootings. Why? Because we're all here at the mass shootings conference to talk about mass shootings. That's not what we're here to talk about. I'm shocked that no one has brought up yet that Burger King in Thailand made a burger that's just American cheese slices on bread. How has no one brought this up yet? Sir, this is a Judiciary Committee hearing about the FBI. We're not here to talk about Burger King.
Days and said this hearing has turned into absolute chaos. And I yield back.
Time of the gentleman's expired. We bring up FISA because it's up for reauthorization, if the gentleman didn't know, at the end of this year. And it was in our witness's opening statement. I didn't bring up the laptop.
Whose time are you speaking? Whose time are you speaking to, Chairman?
The judge last
Point of order.
week on July 4th.
Whose time are you speaking?
Chairman, point of order. Whose time are you speaking on?
I'm speaking on, I'm not a point of order, and I recognize the gentleman from Arizona.
Thanks, Mr. Chairman. Director, thanks for being here. Who is Matthew Graves?
Man, what a jackass. Swalwell. That's the guy that slept with the Chinese spy, right? No wonder he didn't want to actually talk about anything that had to do with the FBI and foreign issues. And if I'm not mistaken, that was also the guy who farted on live TV. That was pretty funny. a goofball. All right, guys. I don't think I can take any more. Where, with all the stopping and the fun with the green screening and stuff, that was a good time. We only made it an hour and 35 minutes into this damn thing. That is a lot of nonsense going on. Ugh. It's too much. It's too much. I mean, you couldn't watch this, this whole thing even if you wanted to. I mean, even uninterrupted. I mean, 5 hours and 42 minutes. And even more of it because we haven't even gotten to the good ones. Like Miss Bush that I talked about. And of course, Schiff and Jayapala and God, just the terrible, terrible people that it would have been a lot more grandstanding and random. Sir, do you have any questions for the director of the FBI? I want to know why we're not talking about climate change. Well, we certainly can talk about that at the climate change hearing next week. We currently have the director of the FBI here to talk about some stuff if you want to talk to him about that. Yeah, but I want to ask you about the systemic racism, y'all. Okay, well, again, we have the head of the FBI here. Do you want to ask him anything? Oh, man. And look at Hagman dressed up like Ursula from Little Mermaid. It's a good look. All right, guys. It's been fun. Don't forget. I think I have it here. Maybe I forgot. Yep. Year 2 pint glasses still available. Dude, these things are actually sick. I use them all the time. Donate to the PayPal to support the channel. Help me buy some more 223. God, I'm going through it like crazy. Yeah, we'll be streaming again tomorrow. Friday show. I just wanted to watch some of this, and it's pretty much what I expected. I don't know about you guys. Oh, and of course, look who's buddy. Schiff sitting right next to Swalwell. You know those guys got some stuff going on behind the scenes. I mean, they're colluding against Trump, you guys. Calm down. All right, guys, I hope you learned something about the FBI, which is that you should never trust the FBI or any other federal agency for that matter. And actually, I think you probably already knew that. So actually, we didn't learn a damn thing here tonight. We did learn it's funny that when an old woman wears a green jacket to put other prints on it. We've learned that. And I think that makes it all worthwhile. All right, guys, have a good night, and I will see you tomorrow.